Alright, so Marquise, are we rolling?
You know what time it is.
Oh, you know what time it is. It's the
yeah.
It's the Good Times of Killing Us podcast time. It's your boy David. I'm here with K-Town.
K-Town.
And Marquise.
Yo.
Alright, so today we are talking about the musical movement. It was huge in the mid-90s, early 2000s. You could not escape it. We're talking about new metal. And real quick, we're not talking NEU. It ain't like that, baby.
Yeah,
It's just NU, baby.
NU with a umlaut. The two dots above the U, baby.
We sophisticated.
We got the linguistics in them.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
So for those who don't know, who weren't there, I mean, you got to know what new metal is. I mean, this is like, we're mixing all types of different genres. Most fundamentally, you're mixing rap and metal and rock, but there's also elements of punk, hardcore, funk, grunge, goth genres. K-Town, what was the analogy you were talking about?
Literally, new metal is, if you've ever been to, like, if you were a little kid and you went to, like, a soda fountain at a restaurant and you just got to mix all the soda flavors together, it's called a suicide. And when you hit that, all the flavors, it just hits your head, it goes in through your gut, gives you a horrible rot gut stomach ache, and then it comes out through your frosted tips, and you just feel it. And that was new metal, baby.
Because you had frosted tips.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Les.
You know,
That
we
was
got
pretty
all
good.
that. Okay. So we got... Thank you.
Great job.
So, you know, we've got the angry and dark nihilistic lyrics, but sometimes very kind of douchey, pretty sexist, as we're going to get on later on. A big thing in new metal was the quiet and whiny and kind of feeling something, and now I'm really fucking angry, let's go. Like the quiet, soft whisper to the loud and angry vocals.
That used to be some of my shit. Some of my favorite shits were that style.
If you can think of an aesthetic, it'd be like you screaming at your dad, "You take out the trash, Dad! You do the dishes, Mom! I'm over it!"
Getting increasingly angry until you just smash him with a fucking vase and your whole life is ruined, and now you join the military. Get away from it. No hate towards our military listeners out there. So all new metal exists on a spectrum. This isn't something you're going to find on the Wikipedia. This is more just us talking, our own kind of ideas. It all exists on a spectrum of evil, like white boy, Wigga type stuff, and butt rock. It all exists on that spectrum. Every new metal band lands somewhere in that spectrum. And we're going to come back to that spectrum a few times. But it's
the trifecta of new metal.
Absolutely. So going with that, I mean, look at the fashion. You look at the fashion, you can see all those elements. You got Janko jeans.
Oh, the best jeans ever made.
Yes, we've got Adidas shell toes, the original fat shoe.
But people couldn't even see your Adidas shell toes because if you were really popping, your Jinkos covered your whole shoe.
They were getting wet and torn up and rolled,
ragged as hell. That's how you knew you listened to Korn.
But you had to be ready for when like you did your jump on stage and then they saw their shoes. People were looking. They're like, "What the fuck we got going on there?" Like if there was on some shell tops, I know those some Etnies. I know those Osiris or DCs. That's a little bit later on, but these were the
That's
OGs.
coming a little bit later, yeah. The shell toes were, like you said, the original fat shoe.
Yes, I mean Adidas in general. I mean that was huge, right? We've got spiked hair and just an overall kind of greasy look.
Yeah, white dreads were big in new metal. Yeah, like huge.
Oh yeah,
some bands it was their whole gimmick.
Yeah, amongst many other things that are now considered problematic, we'll start off with just that. The white boy dreads, but it get a whole lot worse.
They're problematic on so many different levels.
Yes.
Like
I'm alright with it, man. Fuck it.
I don't mean just the dreads. I mean just new metal in general.
Yeah. It does not hold up.
I'm talking about the.
And this is coming from someone who loved new metal. Like
yeah.
You know, new metal made me who I am today, man.
Let's get out the way real quick. I mean, particularly Mark,
y'all want
K-Town.
talk about like where each of us individually, like where we came in on new metal. Or?
Yeah, let's get into it real quick. What new metal meant to us before we get into the origins, the story, and what it all means today. What did this mean to y'all? Where and what was it? What was it like?
For me, nu metal was huge, dude. So I was like coming into adolescence right around that time in like 97, 98, 99, like right when nu metal was like really big and blowing up, and like Korn was like one of my fucking bands. They were like one of the first bands I was like fucking obsessed with, dude. And so like, and you know, Korn was my gateway band, dude. So like, I was along for the fucking ride, dude. Probably into like right around when I got in high school.
And this is your prime.
Yeah, for sure, dude. And like Slipknot was going on around that time too. So like, it just kind of really like was gas on the fire of like the nu metal shit that I was into around that time, which was like a lot of Korn and Mudvayne, Slipknot, fucking you know, I don't know about System of a Down being nu metal, but they definitely were in
it was in there,
in the mix here, and like, you know, a lot of that stuff.
Nu metal hit me like 4th grade. Like I remember like my first like encounter with nu metal was Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and it had like Power Man 5000 on that soundtrack, and I'm just fucking doing kickflips to that fucking song. And just like TRL was big at that time, and like Limp Bizkit was popping off on TRL.
Yeah,
like,
nu metal was on TRL.
It wasn't like poppy like Britney Spears anymore. It was like fucking Limp Bizkit bumping like #1 on TRL.
Yeah, it became pop
and that
music.
shit was crazy, and like it just overtook my whole life. Like I literally started spiking my hair. Like I stopped wearing the Hawaiian button-ups that were popular at the time and started wearing like Silk Dragon shirts instead.
Hard,
like it hit me hard, changed my whole aesthetic.
I
bro.
think I said it in another podcast, bro. Like I first heard fucking Limp Bizkit's fucking Faith, and like I immediately went in my closet and cut some khakis into shorts.
Immediately.
Like,
wait, what?
Dude, like literally, like, and I don't even know what that meant, but I did it. I was influenced.
Damn, man. For me, I kind of had a more sheltered childhood. I didn't, well, not super, but I didn't have the cool older brother. I didn't have the cool dad who got me into metal. I mean, I remember listening to Linkin Park when I was in like late middle school and discovering them. And then in high school, I met a bunch of people who were still all about some Slipknot. I mean, but by then, when I'd gotten into high school, I mean, we're talking like 2005, 2006. So it dated a little bit, but I mean, its resonance was still there in a huge way. But we're going to get into the years. We're going to get into like when exactly everything was going on. But before we get out, and we'll get into the origins of this whole thing. A couple other notes we have on here are maybe this isn't the best part to mention after how big we were into nu metal, but a big thing here was kids getting beat up by parents and other kids.
Oh, dude,
Yep.
beatings.
Yep.
Beatings is a theme throughout a lot of this early nu metal.
Absolutely. I remember I was raised extremely Christian in those years. Like my mom was hardcore into Christ, and I remember I got my first Slipknot CD. And
They're going to say I got my first beating.
No, I got my first Slipknot CD,
and then you got your first beating.
I had to hide it in a Creed CD case. Like I legit like hid my shit in Creed. Like.
Hey, that's what you had to do sometimes. God forbid what you had to do with the Eminem CD.
Oh my god,
that's almost poetic.
Yeah, dude. It was crazy, man.
All right, so let's get into it. When did this whole thing start? I mean, really, metal was always bound to mix with hip-hop. I mean, even Black Sabbath had sick grooves. But one of the first times that it really started to pop off was when Run DMC collabed with Aerosmith in 1986 with their 1975 song Walk This Way. Which, real quick, let me mention, Walk This Way was 9 years old when Run DMC...
No, dude, 11 years old!
Oh, yeah, 11 years old. Wow, math.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's
Yeah.
like, what's an 11-year-old song right now?
You don't do that. Yeah.
Maybe like if we remix
We don't want to figure that out.
It's like-
It's gonna hurt our feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, maybe like if we remix In the Club right now.
Oh my god.
So Run DMC's getting with
I think that's way older than 11 years, by the way, too.
Run DMC's getting with Aerosmith. I mean, that same year, 1986. I mean, you've got the Beastie Boys. So don't act like this thing was not going to happen. The Beastie Boys put out License to Ill in 1986. 1 year later, you've got Anthrax releasing their second EP, I'm the Man, which specifically mixed up rap elements with straight up metal. They even sampled stuff from License to Ill. I mean, that album's more of a joke of the Beastie Boys. Like, it has, like, they're joking their stereotypical Jewish accents. They're kind of calling them nerds.
But the common theme here is that, like, the rap and rock element and these kind of, like, both these genres being not mainstream, being outsiders in their own kind of element coming together and clicking. Like, yeah, we can vibe. We both get it. We're not normies.
Yeah, it was inevitable. And even later, I mean, Anthrax recorded a version of "Bring the Noise" with Public Enemy.
Yeah, dude, that was probably the sickest thing I ever heard when I was like 12.
And that was the beginning. That's the first time you're hearing metal and rap, and really the worlds coming together. Like Public Enemy, Anthrax. That's real motherfuckers. But there's other stuff going on too. And let's not forget what else was going on in the late '80s, early '90s. I mean, you could even look at the Bad Brains combining hardcore punk with grooves.
Yep.
You've got Ice-T's Body Count combining metal with rap elements and attitude.
For sure.
Cop Killer!
You've got straight metal bands like Helmet and Sepultura, who had a big influence on the instrumentation and guitar tones.
Yeah, the guitar tones and stuff.
Dude, again, everything you just listed was like on the Tony Hawk Pro Skater soundtrack.
There you go.
Like,
So pretty much what you're saying.
So Tony Hawk was just like, that game was just like brewing a stew.
That probably started so many kids onto the new metal kick was that game.
What's
Sure, I
crazy
can see that.
is we're kind of joking, but y'all know the reach those games had.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
That's
dude.
an ep. That's an ep.
Yeah.
But you've also got, you can't forget other bands, like Nine Inch Nails is one of the first big industrial kind of goth bands. That had a huge influence on nu metal, undoubtedly.
We see that a lot, and we saw that a lot through a lot of new metals like Prime. A lot of bands that had that like new metal with that industrial like element to it. So
Neon gas masks and shit.
Yeah, spine shank,
Blue
and
dreads.
Exactly.
Even from the get-go, which I don't want to ruin it, but even from the get-go, you've got that element in there.
Yeah.
But another big one, I mean, let's not forget, Rage Against the Machine was combining rock, metal, and rap in 1991. That's when they put out their self-titled. I mean, Rage Against the Machine, I mean, a lot of people, I don't even know, I mean, I get how it's an argument. Some people say Rage Against the Machine qualifies as nu metal. I mean, I would disagree, but I could see it.
I can see how, and I can see how they definitely rode that wave, like definitely towards that nu metal prime time period in like the late 90s. But
Battle for Los Angeles was a pretty nu metal album of theirs.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yes, dude. Yeah,
Like
definitely.
Guerrilla Radio was a nu metal ass song.
With the bounce riffs and all. Other than that, like they had like a sweet guitar style that wasn't always with the bounce riffs and fucking
But a lot of those elements were there, even the like kind of like quiet to loud vocal thing. Like Rage Against the Machine had that. I mean, we're not saying it's starting to sound like we're saying Rage was like the beginning, but
don't add us.
yeah, don't add us for that. But I mean, Rage Against the Machine definitely, that's a band that a lot of nu metal bands reference as being an influence. But even below that, I mean, look at even Zach De La Rocha. He had his hardcore band called Inside Out, which had groove parts. But I mean, even bands like Biohazard and Leeway on the underground were doing these grooves in a big way.
I just want to let the listeners know I'm literally sitting here in a Biohazard t-shirt right now.
I mean, Biohazard, I mean, those types of bands, I mean, that kind of showed you, and we'll get to later on. I mean, well, actually, let's not get there yet. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
They rode that aesthetic into like that tough guy New York kind of style that a lot of rap was.
A lot of transition. They were kind of a transition band from that. Like, they didn't really. Well, I guess they did kind of slightly do a rap rocky thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If you watch their music videos, like if you put rap music to their music videos, you could totally see it being a rap video.
They had, they had that definitely nu metal attitude, early nu metal attitude, like
pierced nipples and like just like
bandanas,
fitted hats backwards and bandanas. Yeah, exactly.
But while it's all popping off in the underground, all the while, especially in the late 80s and early 90s, grunge was ruling the airways. At this time, grunge is the biggest thing in rock and roll. However, in 1994, the same year that Nirvana's Kurt Cobain ultimately fucking killed himself, a little band from Bakersfield, California would drop their self-titled debut record, Korn.
Can you do some corn scat for us real quick?
Go!
And then go. So Korn was started by a guy named Jonathan Davis. He had a couple other bands before Korn, one called Sex Art, one called LAPD, which apparently originally meant Love and Peace Dude. Later it meant Laughing as People Die.
Wow, what a gap.
Yeah, true. But he actually came from some pretty solid musical roots. In fact, his dad was a keyboardist that played for Frank Zappa.
Oh shit!
Yeah, pretty interesting.
He worked in a morgue in like his adolescence. He almost just straight did that. Like he might not have been the lead singer of Korn and just worked in a morgue.
So
I can totally see
he was a
that.
19-year-old goth girl.
Yeah, a lot of Korn songs, especially their earlier songs. I think one specific song from Follow the Leader was just straight about a body in the morgue.
but it cannot be overstated. Like Korn was it. Korn was the first nu metal band, I'd
Founders
say.
of nu metal.
Yeah, that was really it. And Korn's vocalist Jonathan Davis cited Faith No More and Pantera as his biggest influences. In fact, Jonathan Davis once said, if there was no Dimebag Darrell, there would be no Korn. And the guitarist Fieldy cited Red Hot Chili Peppers and Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers and Les Claypool from Primus as being his biggest influence. So again,
Both
this
sick
stuff,
bassists, dude.
this stuff does not just pop out of nowhere.
No, there's definitely a lead up and a build up to new metal. There was things like cause and effect definitely happening in
Yeah.
the heavy
That's
metal
what we-
world that led to it.
It was
Yeah.
all brewing in the protoplasm this whole time, you know.
But Korn was was the band that like the pot was stirred, all the cake was baked, and Korn when the timer went off, Korn came out.
It was the meat in the taco.
Yeah, and they had all the elements. I mean, all we're talking about later on with the evil, the white boy, the butt rock.
funk.
Honestly, the funk, all that was in Korn more than anything else, more than any other band that had happened before, and that was really it. And a lot of bands still kind of reference them as being the main ones. So on this album, we've got a couple standout songs. I put down "Mr. Rogers," which is about Jonathan Davis feeling that Mr. Rogers lied to him about the fundamental nature of humanity. Man,
Yeah, fuck you, Mr. Rogers.
yeah, thanks a lot, dickhead.
Fuck everything you did for children.
And that's really a common thread throughout a lot of their albums, and their album art particularly, the notion of defiled youth. I think something happened to him.
Innocence lost.
Yeah, something, I mean, well, for one, they were from Bakersfield, California, which is a pretty, apparently a pretty conservative area, so maybe he kind of grew up with this idea of this kind of like, you know, like the 2.4 kids, the white picket fence idea, and then all of a
the
sudden,
Leave It to Beaver world, like you were going to
Yeah.
grow up and have a nice house and a family and be able to provide for them easily.
But then you find fucking Pantera, and it's
And
like, oh,
and nothing was ever the same.
no,
You just got fucking hostile.
and then he had to walk on Homeboy. Another song. Do we want to fuck up this whole podcast in our third episode?
I'm gonna mention it.
Well, it's pronounced. I mean, it. You know what it is, but the word.
It's maggot, baby.
Yeah, let's just say it's that.
Maggot with an F.
But, so we have a song.
Yeah, it's not Slipknot shit. We're not there yet.
Yeah, so this song is about being called various gay slurs as a kid for liking Duran Duran, apparently. But it's interesting because in that song, Maggot with an F, it's not the name of the song, but y'all know what we're saying.
You don't.
That song, I mean, he's talking about, like, being bullied as a kid. He's talking about being called gay, and then he's like, I'm not gay, or am I gay? You know, he's kind of going on this thing that's very unique. That's a unique kind of impulse going on at that time period.
Yeah, nothing like that was what's going on. You didn't hear that. Definitely not on the radio.
Especially not in like a heavier sense. Like
In a
No,
heavy,
no.
yeah,
that was
coming from
a
heavy
very
perspective.
manly, like I'm gonna punch you in the fucking face genre of music, and he's like opening up about feelings and shit.
Yeah,
That
it's
was pretty deep.
It's funny because he's talking about Pantera being influenced, but Phil Anselmo was totally one of the dudes who was doing that on Schoolyard.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're still. I mean, new metal. I mean, this band. I mean, this record's on the Billboard. You know, like they're not really going underground, but they're still kind of. They're in the underground to a degree. I mean, in fact, they were playing for Sick of It All in 1995. Apparently, they were kind of on that circuit with like a lot of hardcore at the time. And I mean, you can imagine hardcore kids are probably talking a lot of shit about it, saying this is too corny. Maybe that's why they call themselves corny.
Yeah, could you imagine like going to like Sick of It All back in '95 and like seeing Korn come
Yeah,
out to that? You're like, what the
Korn, yeah.
fuck is this,
They
dude?
play blind, and you're like, "What is going on here?"
I can't crack a 40 to someone's skull to this shit.
But outside of that, we've also got another big hitter. We've got the Deftones
Oof.
dropping Adrenaline, their debut album in 1995, which K-Town's got some feelings. Which, just on the record, Mark and I love the fucking Deftones.
What are you talking about?
I'm just not into them, guys. I've tried so many times, especially because everyone I know loves them and everyone cites them as this amazing band. I just
Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong. I get it.
I don't
get
hate
it.
them.
Not
I
for
just
everybody.
can't groove to it.
I definitely get it.
Well, I mean, the thing
They got all type of different flows though, bro.
I think I really just need to sit down with someone who knows Deftones.
Your boy.
Instead of just trying to like do it on my own, I guess.
Well, the thing is about the Deftones is, I mean, from the very beginning of their career, I mean, Chino Moreno was famously talking about how their first instinct was to push away. I mean, they were kind of lumped into this new metal thing that was kind of emerging, especially with Korn. I mean, people were even calling them baby Korn.
Baby Korn.
You don't want to be baby Korn.
That would be fucking really hard to take.
Yeah.
Especially if you're trying to come up and start your own band. They're like, oh yeah, you're baby some other band in your scene. You're like, nah, okay, we got to dissociate ourselves from that band.
Well, Deftones had even formed in 1988, so they were kind of like hanging out for a while. Yeah, like they were probably just kids in high school,
drinking beer and like shredding in the garage.
Yeah, so they're doing their own thing, and all of a sudden, just happens to be that they're on the same wave as Korn and nu metal. And I mean, they were even saying they're like, we don't want to be in this nu metal thing because you're calling an entire genre new. That's just.
That's going to be dated in like 4 years.
Yeah, because it's. I mean, I will say we're still calling it nu metal, even though it ain't new anymore.
Ain't nothing new about it, but
that's because it's got
the U. It's because it's got the U. Yeah.
They get the extra power.
Yeah.
But Chino Moreno.
Gave it 20 more years, baby.
Chino Moreno, the vocalist of the Deftones. I mean, he said he used to hate being associated with Limp Bizkit. I mean, he was friends with all these guys, but I mean, they were even being invited to go on tour with them. And they were turning them down. Like, they were just like, nah, man, like, we want to go on our own wave. Even though, undoubtedly, Deftones' early success particularly was definitely had a big thing to do with nu metal.
Oh, yeah. They were nu metal.
I mean, I get that feeling. Like, I was bumping Oops, I Did It Again, like, in 4th grade, but I won't tell nobody I was.
But here's one thing I thought about that particular situation. So, you know, we've been in bands and stuff, so you know it's like, imagine, I can relate to what Deftones is talking about. I think everyone can relate to, like, not wanting to get lumped into the stuff that you don't really see yourself as particularly.
Mm-hmm. Our bands have been like that, yeah.
But
in our own wave.
How do you take that? This is a band that, like, they're not just a band, they're homies. So
yeah,
you're doing something, and you're a big band. And you're like, come on, bros, let's go on this tour. It's going to be fucking sick. And they're like, nah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely played shows together.
That would feel a little shady coming from like not Deftones' perspective, but coming from like Korn or Limp Bizkit's perspective. Like, you're homies and you are hanging out and chilling together, and you're like, yeah, let's hit this tour. It's us and fucking Korn and. And they're like, no, we good. Nah,
yeah, you probably be wondering.
Thanks, but we good, bro.
You're definitely probably Van talks about like Deftones, like, oh, they think they're too good for us.
Yeah, they think they're fucking.
And honestly, I could see Deftones probably having some Van talks, like, yeah. I mean, and even we'll get to it later, but I mean,
did you hear what Fred was talking about?
I mean, we'll talk about it later, but Deftones is a band that's still huge. However, in 2017, he did say that he would want to tour with Korn, because now that it's all said and done,
you're established now. You can't really get lumped in anymore. I mean.
Yeah, but the beef was squashed. But continuing on, I mean, this is a really
baked.
This is a small. Speaking of baked, we got Lemonade and Brownies in 1995 by Sugar Ray. A lot of people don't really see Sugar Ray as being considered nu metal, but if you listen to the songs besides their hits, if y'all are out there, you've listened to those albums like actually from start to finish, you know that shit is nu metal. Don't even try to act like you don't know.
Don't act like you don't know.
In 1996, we've got Korn's Life is Peachy. So it's getting bigger and bigger.
Got him.
In fact, I mean, even older metal bands were starting to kind of get in on this. I mean, Sepultura put out Roots in 1996. So you've got a much bigger metal band doing a nu metal style. And in a way that isn't corny by any means. I mean, that record holds up fantastically well.
It's pretty sick.
But you've got other stuff. I mean, some people might not see this as nu metal either, but this is definitely part of that wave. We've got Marilyn Manson dropping Antichrist Superstar in 1996.
That came out like right in that nu metal thick, like when shit was popping off, and he was that album especially. He was riding that nu metal wave. He had those bounce riffs and shit. Think of like The Beautiful People.
Oh yeah,
all these endless just like riffs that play in a circle that you could just play over and over again.
And that's the thing, is it's all brewing. I mean, you've got Korn already has kind of a goth aesthetic.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Marilyn Manson probably listened to Korn. And then right after that, we've also got, Cold Chamber, kind of off that same... Loco!
I didn't think about this until, like, earlier when we were talking about this, but yeah, you can't, like, look at Cold Chamber and say they weren't influenced by Marilyn Manson. They're like some Manson clones. Like,
definitely.
Well, at least in the aesthetic and shit. Like,
you knew the table at the record at like the record execs were seeing Marilyn Manson blow up. They're seeing this. They saw some band called Cold Chamber which, let's be honest, is not that great of a band, but you knew that you could sign them.
I don't even think you have to say that. I think everyone knows
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You're not offending anybody by saying that.
Yeah.
What, dude?
The fuck you say about Cold Chamber?
You heard chamber music though?
Yes. But they put out their self-titled in 1997. But then this is when it gets really big. So, I mean, nu metal's really starting to get there. But one time while on tour, Korn met a young man named Fred Durst. Oh, you already overkilled the fucking horns?
I just okay.
So,
I just wanted to leave an absence of it, but no.
Yo,
Fred
pay my
Durst
man
is a-
respect and give him that
Fred Durst
horn.
is a heavy hitter. No, he's seriously a heavy hitter in the new metal fucking shit.
yeah, so Fred Durst apparently was always a big fan of both rock, metal, and rap for sure. I mean, he offered to give Korn's guitarist Head a tattoo. Korn came back to his place for the tattoo, which was apparently really shitty. Like, it's supposed to say Korn, but apparently, what'd they say? It said...
It looks like it says horn.
Yeah, horn.
Yo, real quick, he offered to give Head to Korn, actually.
Yeah, just
not,
to get
not
signed.
Head a tattoo.
Yeah, just to get
We're
signed.
getting
He
real
was like,
meta.
I'll
He's
give
trying to
Head
zuck him off.
each one of the guitarists.
We're getting real meta with the syntax of my notes right here.
You didn't leave me any room to make that joke. Thank you, K-Town.
But they come over and Fred gives him a mixtape, and Fieldy from what do you play in Korn?
Bass.
Bass.
It was probably literally a mixed tape.
Yeah. So Fieldy gave Fred's mixtape to Korn's producer Ross Robinson, and he loved it. The rest is history. And real quick, let's talk about Ross Robinson. How instrumental. He was huge. I mean, big, very instrumental in nu metal in general, and even going on in the aftermath of nu metal. I mean, for one, he did Slipknot, but he's also done bands like the Blood Brothers, fucking Glassjaw, which
At the
Glassjaw
Drive-In?
at the Drive-In, right? I mean, he's a big hitter. He recorded a lot of these early records from Korn, Slipknot, his other bands. But he also recorded Limp Bizkit's debut album, $3 Bill, y'all,
There it is.
in 1997. And this is when white boy nu metal really started. And Fred Durst didn't only create like a new kind of little part of the nu metal world. Fred Durst created a whole genre of person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all
There's
know
still-
these dudes.
Definitely all my uncles.
Actually,
All my uncles were Fred Durst. They were like just balding, like white dudes with
like
backwards caps, white tees, and cut off cargo shorts.
with some D3s.
but I mean, yeah, I mean, it's really popping off with the white boy nu metal. I mean, and then only a year later, this kind of blew my mind. This band came out before all the other heavy hitters we're gonna get to. Saliva puts out their self-titled with "Click Click Boom" in 1997.
Click, click, boom!
Yes.
Hitting song, man. That shit still play on the radio.
Which
I
again,
was up in my room and let the radio play.
which this is a good time to kind of mention that. I mean, by this time, nu metal. I mean, you've got record executives looking at this stuff. I mean, they're looking at $3 Bill, y'all, and they're looking for other stuff. That's all Saliva was.
So, like, how do we capitalize on this?
Yeah.
They literally were like trying to throw shade at like Eminem in that song too. Like,
Oh yeah, true. What did he say? He was like,
yeah, he was like, "Yeah, my mom and my dad were perfect, but you don't hear no crying ass bitching for me like everybody you see on TV.
No, it's actually good you mentioned that because we didn't really put Eminem in the notes, but I mean, really, when you think about it, Eminem probably had a bigger thing to do with
Oh
all
yeah,
this.
yeah. Most dudes got into Eminem and then got into Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Did they?
All my uncles.
I feel like real quick, did Limp Bizkit and Eminem ever have beef? They must have had beef.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah. Fred
I
Durst,
feel like this is a
Fred
thing.
Durst and Eminem had specific beef. There is. I'm surprised we didn't talk about this before. So I can't remember what. There's a VMAs. I guess they used to be cool or something. And there's a VMAs where something happened. I can't remember.
They're like,
specifically.
there's only room for one wigga on MTV.
And Eminem won like an award or something, and as he's coming down the aisle, like Fred Durst goes to like dap him up, and Eminem just like ignores him, like it's like
Damn,
walking past him.
man.
And then he mentions it in a song, like, "Yeah, I saw you, bitch," like, you know, I just you're a pussy. And then he like curses out Britney Spears. Eminem was just coming for all the pop stars at the time, and even though I think they started out as friends, Fred Durst landed square in the middle of that because he was a pop star.
It had to happen. You've got two pissed off white boys, and Fred Durst, like, I mean, easy target if you. I mean, not to put a lot of good stuff on Eminem, but I mean, the dude can rap. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
he's still pretty. I don't want to give too much credit to him, but you know, he can rap, and he can definitely tear someone up if he wants to. And if you're Fred Durst at this
That's like
time,
Eminem's prime too. You know?
yeah, oh yeah. But I mean, this is about the time where this shit is getting huge. I mean, in 1998, even fucking Slayer went new metal with their record, which is pretty infamously bad, Diabolus and Musica, in 1998. Big heavy hitter. I mean, you've got System of a Down dropping their self-titled. 1998.
Can we get a ham horn for a System of a Down, please?
For sure.
We got to get some more damn fucking sound. All right. Where's the? We got the Wilhelm up.
Yeah, give the people what they want. There's going to be plenty of room for the Wilhelm.
Yeah, Wilhelm's coming on that later half.
Oh no, true. Oh yeah,
there's going to be plenty of time.
The head PE,
let's
baby.
Let's big up the genre before we tear it apart.
Yeah.
So with System of a Down, this might be a good time to mention that, I mean, from California and from other parts of the country, I mean, one positive thing you can really say about nu metal, which is maybe a good thing to go off of after the Eminem thing, is there's a lot of diversity going on. Like,
You're seeing a lot of diversity in the nu metal scene.
Mm-hmm. I mean, all of System of a Down was Armenian American, right? Deftones, Chino Moreno is Mexican, Asian American. Most of them are part Mexican, POC.
That was a thing. You would see a few bands with like either like people of color or black or brown band members, and as like a black kid who was
black,
listening
brown,
to metal,
goth.
and let me fucking tell you, coming back,
Goth is a race
going
of
back
people.
to fucking like the mid to late 90s, it was not like fucking in vogue to be a fucking black kid into rock music and shit. So it was really sick to see yourself represented like in some of these bands that sometimes you would feel like an outsider listening to some of
it was
this
really
shit.
dope because like a lot of these bands like got their aesthetic from like ethnic culture.
Exactly.
Like,
Totally.
You know, they were embracing like, you know, rap and, you know, like cholo, like West Coast cholo like vibes, and like New York, like they were really embracing everything and, you know, making it into their thing. Mm-hmm. It was dope. It was dope to see, like, you know, the influence. It wasn't just for like the angry white dude. It was for everybody.
Yeah.
That might have been the majority, to be honest. But I mean, definitely, I mean, that was a huge factor in all this. It's much more inclusive than previous incarnations. I mean, look at like what grunge was.
Yeah,
Grunge was just white dudes.
Yep.
It was nothing but white
Seattle.
Or hair metal or fucking
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
like other variations.
there was
of metal.
no Black Motley Crue, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
No.
other variations of metal were almost exclusively white.
So it's popping. 1998. This is when the Family Values tour came up. So in 1998, we've got the first one. This is a huge deal. I mean,
This is big.
nu metal is now the biggest thing in metal, and I would argue, would y'all say mainstream rock is?
Yeah, I
in
mean,
general?
like I was
this
saying
was-
earlier
this was
with Limp
mainstream
Bizkit,
rock.
they were taking over TRL, man.
Yeah, there was a point in time we're talking about now, like the late 90s. This is a point in time where on TRL I could see a fucking Korn video, a Limp Bizkit video, an Orgy video, and maybe even a Rammstein video. Like all of the,
They
like, you
literally
know,
were
Yeah.
beating out like Britney Spears and
Yeah,
like Christina
yeah.
Aguilera on fucking TRL. They're like,
This was huge.
TRL was like the home of like just like mainstream, just generic pop, and Limp Bizkit was like pushing those dudes out. Like
Yeah.
it was crazy.
I mean, the first one, I mean, yeah, you've got Korn, Limp Bizkit, Orgy, Rammstein. I mean, you've got Ice Cube is coming on. You've got an actual, like, well-known rapper. We're talking about a rapper from NWA joining Limp Bizkit and Korn.
So real quick, just a quick deep cut, like Family Values tour in '98. There was a fucking CD. And there was a fucking like a movie, it was literally a VHS if I remember correctly.
Well,
But
yeah.
fucking, and I had
Yeah.
both, and this was fucking 100% influential to me and probably hundreds of thousands of kids, like, because it had all those bands I'd previously listed, you know, had fucking Korn, Orgy, like you said, had Ice Cube on it, and this was like fucking sick. This was like gold for like a kid like me that was into all these bands, and it put me on to some more of these bands and shit, so it was a gateway, the Family Values 98 tour video, and I keep wanting to say DVD, but it definitely wasn't a DVD.
And to kind of put y'all in the cultural place right now, and to kind of show you how big nu metal was, how it really had something to do with a lot of what was going on. You gotta talk about Columbine, yo. Columbine happened in 1999, and Marilyn Manson, who again you might argue is not nu metal, but definitely big in, like, if you listen to nu metal, you listen to Marilyn Manson, and probably those dudes. I don't forget the names of those motherfuckers.
We don't need to say their names.
Yeah. True.
Fuck those guys.
But you know that they were probably listening to a lot of fucking nu metal, dude. Marilyn Manson was not the only one. That was just the easiest target.
No one just listens to one band. And
That's what the media would make you think, though. Is like they listen to nothing but Marilyn Manson.
It fucked their
Start to
heads.
finish.
Made them kill people.
But I mean, that's really where we're getting. I mean, there's a lot of imagine being like a kind of right wing conservative Christian person in the late '90s and seeing where rock and roll was going.
This is shortly
Oh my
after.
God.
Yeah, man.
And my mom, dude.
Yes.
My mom, like, she was she was like, "You're never watching MTV again.
Bro,
I don't care if they're playing church on MTV. You're not watching that."
I almost feel bad for them, even though like I mean, we were definitely all kids who were like, yeah, whatever, mom. But like,
Yo, shouts out to my mom. She's not like that anymore.
As
but-
parents, in the wake of like the American culture with the satanic panic and shit, like, and then you got fucking Marilyn Manson on stage. You're sitting down after fucking work to watch the news and just chill, and they're showing you fucking Marilyn Manson wearing some fucking
dude, but it was real.
with
Like
a pentagram on
I remember
stage, like.
when I was 8, like there literally was like these goth kids who thought they were vampires murdered somebody, murdered a homeless dude in Willoughby.
Holy shit!
And like my mom wouldn't let me out after dark anymore. Like
it
it was like that panic was
scary.
real, dude.
I mean, this is when it's starting to get a little bit dark. But you know, I mean, it wasn't all bad. I mean, Limp Bizkit put out Significant Other. So
Yo,
huge
shouts
album.
out to Limp Bizkit for making
For
the world
saving
great.
the country from Columbine, yeah, with in 1999 with a Significant Other, and this is, I mean, a lot of people would say this is when they blew the fuck up. I mean, they've got Method Man on there. They've got rappers. Fred Durst was a full blown pop star. I mean, he already kind of was, but by this point, I mean, there's no denying it. It's huge.
Yeah,
but-
there were rumors of him like dating Britney Spears and shit, like,
which
at
I
the
think
time.
were fabricated, but dude,
it adds up.
That's crazy. Yeah,
It adds up.
It's
Oh,
crazy that was even like in the same sentence back then.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Britney Spears, the biggest pop star in the world,
Is
fucking
dating-
around with Fred Durst, and like people believed it.
Yeah, that was right next to all the great little ones. Like we've got Marilyn Manson removing his rib.
Oh yeah, to suck his own.
Yeah,
dick.
Yeah.
isn't that crazy that like this was before like internet was like in every home?
Yeah, you could
And,
just
like,
say some dumb shit.
everyone believed, but like it's crazy like
Not
that
that you
like
still
people
can't, but-
people like in like the middle of like bumfuck Iowa and like people in Florida all knew the same story without like connecting somehow. They just everyone knew that in like middle school. Like
Word of mouth.
Fred
dude.
Durst took a rib out and sucked his dick. Like I mean, not Fred Durst. Yeah, Fred Durst
Dude,
did.
Fred Durst took
No,
a rib
it's just
out.
crazy to think about like that. Like that's how big
In
nu metal
2018.
was. Like it was getting passed around without any significant way to like get that weird shit out there.
Yeah, back then it was like a 17 or 16-year-old talking at those, what are those electrical boxes he used to sit on in like middle school, high school, you know what I'm talking about? On the corner, there's a
Oh
big
yeah,
box.
yeah. In the corner of your neighborhood,
Dude,
the
that's-
green box.
That's where the thing about Marilyn Manson removing his rib came from. Some kid was telling like a 12-year-old, he's like, yeah, did you know Marilyn Manson took out his rib so he could suck his own dick? And then he told all of his middle school friends, and it just
told
kind of grew
everyone
and
on the
grew.
bus.
I remember I
Yeah.
heard about that before I even knew like what sucking dick was. Like, that shit- I was like, yo, people get the dick sucked?
That was your exposure.
I wasn't even busting nuts yet. Like,
Before you thought about anyone else
How big
sucking,
this was.
before you even thought about a dick being handled by anybody else, you were just like, oh, I can suck that.
Like, oh damn.
But in Woodstock '99, I mean, that's when I mean it's I mean Back to the Darkness, I guess actually is I mean, fuck. I mean, if you watch that Nookie video,
yes, there we go.
of them playing Nookie in Woodstock '99, I mean, you're seeing girls taking their tops off, which is whatever, and then dudes just straight up grabbing.
That
you
was
know,
the most like the most like awkward thing I ever saw when y'all showed me that clip the other day.
Yeah.
The girl, like the guy's grabbing her tit, and she's
just
just
like,
like,
"Hey."
she's
He just,
just
like,
like,
slaps
man.
his
And the
hand
guy's
away.
like, "Oh man,
Yeah, he's like pissed. He's like,
Oh,
what the
man.
fuck, man?
I
Yeah.
can't grab your titty in public. Like, what the fuck?"
It's really cringy.
I can't help myself. Like,
It's
I mean,
some
that's still
cringy shit.
That's still well. Let's not get all too SJW in this, but that's still a fucking
Yeah,
thing.
shouts out to incels.
Yeah.
What, you want
Yeah,
me to
for
just
real.
grab your fucking tit?
And in fact, when they played break stuff, I mean, people were tearing up the venue. They were taking plywood out. They were surfing on the venue.
I mean,
They
it
were-
was called break stuff pain. Come
Yeah.
on.
Well, the thing is,
So-
it's like Fred Durst thought it was like a whole positive thing, but after the show, I mean, there are fires. They're tearing this shit up. The cops are coming to him trying to say, "Hey, man, you started a riot."
They're telling him he incited a riot, and he's like, "What? I told them all to be positive and to just put their good energy out. And but I don't know what the fuck Fred Durst was saying during that speech. It really was just a rambling.
Yeah, it
didn't
was
make a lot of sense.
No matter what you do, you're gonna
You'll forever be the same.
Yeah.
No growth as a human.
Yeah. I don't care what negativity's coming at you. You ain't gonna change. Like, what? What are you even fucking talking about, dude?
You'll never grow as a person.
But this really can't be understated. This is a huge issue. I mean, even later on when they put out Rearranged, they're talking about this on a later record. They're talking about it in the music videos.
Yeah, they literally had clips from Woodstock playing in the video.
Yeah, when in the video when they got sentenced to death.
To death by milk.
Which is what the fucking symbology is right there. But okay, but here's a big fucking heavy hitter. Slipknot puts out their self-titled record in 1999. This is huge.
Yeah, this shit changed my fucking life, dude.
Still holds up.
I remember the first time I heard Slipknot. It was literally on the bus. I think I was in like 8th grade. Might have been 7th or 8th grade. And fucking this kid Corey who rode my bus. Because I had some friends. I loved Korn. I had a friend who was really into fucking Power Man 5000. And my other friend, I can't remember what I think Slipknot was his band, but I never really had listened to them. They were like really fucking new, like probably came out that year. But some kid on the bus, this kid Corey, I think on the bus, had asked me, he was like, "Dude, you like Slipknot, right?" And I'm just like, basically I'd heard of them, but I was like, "Yeah." And he let me hear the song. It was literally sick. It was the first song he played, and it fucking blew my mind, dude. Like the first 30 seconds of that song changed my life. I was like, this is the hardest shit I've ever heard.
With the exception of the kind of bad rap parts, that whole record holds up so well. I mean, I was jamming it the other day, and I just felt so stoked. I was like, this is still great. This is still such a pure distillation into something that it's just pure anger. It's just completely harnessed what anger feels like. I mean, I don't know. It still holds up. It's great. But Slipknot was a wild band. Like, they were wearing masks. They had satanic themes. They were wearing sweaty jumpsuits.
There's fucking 9 of them?
9 fucking
Literally,
members.
4 percussionists. That's insane, dude.
Yeah, they were the performative aspect of nu metal was really embodied in Slipknot. I mean, and to this day. I mean, they change up their mask every record they put out. And they just put out... I mean, they just put out the new mask, at least. They haven't put out the record yet.
I know. Is it just the single that's
I think
off
it's
of
just a
it?
single.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's still, I mean, I bang the fuck. I still, am jamming to, new Slipknot to this day.
Slipknot holds up really well,
Dude,
right?
I listen to Iowa songs from Iowa a lot. But, Slipknot definitely kind of encapsulated that theatrical element that was going on in nu metal. A lot of these bands had a gimmick, some kind of theatrical element to them.
Mm-hmm. I also think that one thing that Slipknot had that a lot of other bands didn't have is I think they're a little bit more critically acclaimed than these other nu metal bands.
Yeah, they won Grammys and shit.
Yeah, they were winning Grammys.
Subliminal Verses won a Grammy.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit later on, but yeah, they're taken seriously in the real music world. I think real metal music respected them. Again, for me, I'm just going to say I don't think the rap parts hold up.
No, Spit It Out. A lot of people fuck with that
it.
song. I don't fucking Spit It
I'm
Out.
fine with it. My cousin plays this
I'm
song.
fine with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Fuck it. It's a time capsule. That's what was going on. You listen to a lot of these songs, they were all doing this, and I feel like even then, in the late 90s, this played out version of rap that rappers weren't even doing at that time. It was kind of like an older version of rap. Like, Jay-Z wasn't doing that, and he was probably one of the biggest rappers of that time.
What's going on in rap right now? What was the big, this is like G-Unit time in rap, right?
No, this is a little before G-Unit. We're talking
Jay-Z's putting out that Hard Knock
Pimpin'
Life.
Yeah, Hard Knock, even before Big Pimpin', like Hard Knock Life shit, and what else is going on?
No, you're right.
Dirt Off Your Shoulder was a little bit later.
So already by this time, rap's kind of moving on, and it's like these wavelengths are kind of separating.
Yeah, rap's
bit.
moving more towards the big money, big booty bitches,
big pimpin'.
Big pimpin'.
Well, whereas Slipknot,
big shirts, big pants.
Well, whereas Slipknot lasted, for a long time, let's write off a couple other bangers, granted bangers from the late 90s that maybe didn't hold up as well. I mean, we've got Soulfly in they put out their debut record in 1998, which had Sepultura as Max Cavalera.
Yeah, he's like the founder of that band, the lead singer, guitarist. He's it's his brainchild, Soulfly. Still dropping albums, actually, Soulfly.
So you're still seeing,
Still dreaded up.
You've
Still
also
looks like an apocalyptic Rastafarian, as our boy James did.
shout out to James. James, what would it do? Let's not put last names in, but if you listen to this, shout out to James. You know who you are. We've also got Obsolete by Fear Factory in 1998. We've got Godsmack in 1998 with their self-titled. We've got Orgy put out Candy Ass in 1999, which was kind of like, I guess, the bigger record.
These album names were just goofy as fuck, dude.
Obsolete,
A
Candy
lot of
Ass.
bad lyrics, a lot of bad album names, and album covers.
Yeah, album art was rough back then, dude.
I mean, at the time, it was cool as shit. Like Limp Bizkit's significant
Like Jinko
other,
Jeans. Like Jinko Jeans.
Exactly. They don't hold up. Limp Bizkit's significant other album cover is just like so stupid. But like that was the epitome of what new metal was.
People were
that
getting
picture.
that shit tatted on them. Like, there's like a 40-year-old right now with like 3 kids that's got like that shit on their back.
Look, if you do have that tatted on you, like I hope you still love that album.
Yeah,
And that's,
same.
That's fair.
You've got, speaking of really dumb looks, we've got Static X with Wisconsin Death Trip.
Yeah, don't you
Wisconsin
disrespect
Death Trip. Yeah,
them.
dude, hold on, dude. Static X.
Wisconsin Death Trip.
Okay,
That's
so
fucking
in this new metal deep dive, like Static X is one of the bands, and the album Wisconsin Death Trip is one of the bands I feel like I'm taking you with me, baby. We're gonna keep you. I'm gonna keep a couple of these bangers, man.
Dude,
they're in regular rotation now.
Their vocalist hair was sponsored by fucking Slim Jim, dude. His hair looked just like the Slim Jim guy. Tell me it did not.
I had that fucking hair, man. Like I had that hair.
Dude, Wayne
That
Static,
was my shit,
Damn.
dude.
rest
Yeah,
in
dude.
peace. Fucking
Yeah, that's so fucking crazy. He's gone.
yeah, I know, dude. I think I knew
So
that.
many
But,
Slim
like,
Jims.
I remembered it
What
on
was
this.
what was that
research.
stop motion like clay puppet shit music video they did? Was it Push It? I'm pretty sure it was Push It with the alien like in the factory.
Why didn't we watch that video?
That
this
shit's
whole
crazy.
time?
Man.
Anyway,
It's so good.
So Wisconsin Death Strip still holds up.
So we've got Gift of Game in 1999 by Crazy Town with the hit single Butterfly, which you will still hear on the radio. Actually, granted, most of the shit you'll still hear on the radio.
Bro, Butterfly.
Yeah, but
I
they
mean,
put that on like not like old like rock stations. Like that's like on like older people stations, like 94.9 and shit.
I mean, even look at Sugar Ray. You know, Sugar Ray is kind of the thing. Sugar Ray has a lot of songs that kind of flow in that same direction. It sounds soft, even though the band is actually very dumb if you actually look into it.
Dude, at Butterfly, that song by Crazy Town was on everything at that time. Like in every movie, in every
we getting there.
teenage fucking drama, Dawson's Creek show. Butterfly got love in 1999.
It's because of all the pierced nipples in that video, dude.
Tattooed nipples.
Yeah, tatted nips. That was the wave in '99, baby.
Bleached hair and tatted nips. That was a new metal thing.
Also, 1999, we've got Power Man 5000's Tonight the Stars Revolt, another big record.
That was a banger.
So also in 1999, we've got Dope with Felons and Revolutions, and the really only reason that I want to bring this up is because they have a really bad cover of NWA's Fuck the Police. So, of course, you know, they had the original line,
It was like, thinking every nigga is selling narcotics.
which they changed to, yeah, motherfucker, I'm selling narcotics.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
Dope was pretty trash.
I mean,
I
that
feel
was
like they were a gimmick band. Like,
That was progressive of them not to say it.
Oh, no, yeah,
Oh,
don't
yeah,
get me,
true,
don't get me
true.
wrong. Yeah, I'm not saying...
Yeah, shouts out to those dirty white dudes for not saying the N-word.
Yeah, oh yeah. I by no means condone. I don't want to make it seem like that. I just want to see what they're.
pussies.
It's still corny as fuck what they said.
But at least it's not problematic.
Yeah, that song sucks.
I mean, it's
ass.
on
yeah.
brand with their name, Dope. Yeah,
Yeah,
motherfucker,
Dope.
I'm selling narcotics.
Yeah, true,
Hell
true.
yeah, motherfucker.
But I mean, we've got all this evil shit. We've got Slipknot. You've got your Corns. You've got all this Wigger shit going on. Then we've got P.O.D.
Yo, real quick, this was the band that like saved my childhood because this was the only band that I could actually listen over 10 in my room openly because my mom was
with impunity.
she bought me this album. I had never even heard of POD, and she got this album for me for Christmas.
Well-
and was like, they're Christian, babe.
Yes, P.O.D. was a Christian band that kind of proved that new metal wasn't all about being dark and evil. You could have a positive element to it.
Yeah, the fundamental elements of Southtown was I bumped the shit out of that. That was a dope album. Like I wasn't even like I thought it was corny that they were Christian, but it was still like it's still a legit good album.
It is. It's a banger.
Something else to kind of mention with POD is POD had actually put out 2 records before that. They actually started in 1992, and a lot of the bands that I'd mentioned beforehand.
In 92?
Yeah, dude. A lot of those bands had been doing stuff. Like, a lot of the bands that we just listed had other records before that, or they were around for years before that, but it wasn't until nu metal really started popping off they started catching that wave, whether it be intentionally or just record labels reaching out, trying to find bands that had that sound.
They had a way in now.
They were making money, so like you had to cash in.
We getting money now.
Yeah.
So where are we at in the country? We've got Y2K, right? All the computers, all that.
Oh my god, dude, that was terrifying.
Yeah,
I remember being scared.
My mom, my family was super into Pat Robertson, and like that was all like that motherfucker talked about. Like my mom was telling me like I wasn't going to be going to school after New Year's Day because the world was going to be on fire.
Jesus Christ! But around this time, I mean, you've got a lot of the big hitters. A lot of bands I didn't realize started out so late. You've got Mudvayne with LD50 in 2000.
Ooh. LD50 was a heavy hitter, dude. LD50 was one of my fucking main jams. That was a transition for me, like, because they had a different sound. They were actually on some prog shit, dude. I mean, as far as instrumentally.
You've got
I hate Dig. Dig is like, oh. Dig is such a... I don't care.
That's the best meme ever, in my opinion.
You've got Papa Roach putting out their record in 2000. It was self-titled, right? Yeah, I believe it was self-titled. Right?
In 2000, the album that they put out in 2000 was Infest. That
Okay.
was their nu metal banger.
Yeah.
With Last Resort and everything on it.
But a couple other big bangers, one of the big ones for sure, was Linkin Park, who were originally called Zero when they formed in 1996.
Not a good name.
But in 2000, they changed their name to Hybrid Theory, but then they changed it again to Linkin Park and put out a record called Hybrid Theory. And that was huge. I mean, a big record. I mean, by this time, you've kind of got the more positive thing going on. I mean, they're kind of reconciling with negative emotions. They almost kind of have an emo thing going on, for sure. It's much more... It's not all just angry...
Where do they fit in the trifecta? Here, yeah.
That's a good question. I mean, they definitely fit up there with POD.
Did they break the wheel?
There's kind of, a little bit. I mean, they definitely have not as much an evil element. POD, Linkin Park, not really the emo or the evil element.
They didn't go the tormented, evil, disturbed route. Were they more in the like Wiggo white boy?
I think so.
Element?
Yeah. They had turntables and everything. Like they were more on that, and they literally had a lyricist that. A vocalist that just did rap.
Yeah, true. Yeah, shout outs to your boy Mike Shinoda. But another thing about that trifecta, I do want to say that it wasn't like just all. There was gray areas in all this. If this was a Venn diagram, a lot of these bands have pieces of this all over. They didn't fit squarely in one of these.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this was
a spectrum.
all.
Yeah, it's a spectrum.
It's a spectrum, baby.
All right, so we've got another big hitter in 2000. So we've got The Sickness by Disturbed with their smash hit Down with the Sickness. And for those of y'all who don't know, I mean, if you listen to Down with the Sickness on the radio, you get a big part cut out of this song. And this really taps into...
the vanilla version of Down with the Sickness.
Can you scroll over a little bit?
And this cuts in to what nu metal was in a huge way. So let's have the entire part. What would you call this? Like a diatribe, like a little speech in the middle of the song. If you listen to the uncut version,
it's played out like a monologue, but it's a 2-person act because his mommy is clearly, and this is also on brand with the beatings theme of nu metal. His mommy is clearly beating him.
It's a soliloquy, if you will.
No, mommy, don't do it again. Don't do it again. I'll be a good boy. I'll be a good boy, I promise.
Come on, Johnny.
No, mommy, don't hit me. Why'd you have to hit me like that, mommy?
All right, Johnny.
Don't do it. You're hurting me. Why'd you have to be such a bitch? Why don't you fuck off and die? Why can't you just fuck off and die? Why can't you just leave here and die?
What are you doing?
Never stick a hand in my face again, bitch. Fuck you.
No.
I don't need this shit. You stupid, sadistic, abusive fucking whore.
What are you doing?
How would you like to see how it feels, mommy? Here it comes. Get ready to die. Yo, that fucking echo, baby.
All the while there's all this new stuff dropping, and we've still got the OGs who are alive and well. One of the biggest hits from a band that was kind of previously grouped in nu metal, which really marked their departure, was Deftones with White Pony in 2000.
I'm sorry, dude. Like, I can't like air horn certain shit and not air horn shit like White Pony, dude. What a fucking banger, dude. It still holds up.
I will say, anytime I hear someone talk about the Deftones, that's what they talk about is White Pony.
Yeah, that's their record. That's the biggest Deftones record. And Deftones is a band without a bad record. I mean, they've got some records that are not as good, but White Pony is the outlier. I mean, it is, even that record just transcends an already really good band.
Story I didn't know until we were looking this stuff up about White Pony. The song "Back to School," which is like notoriously a very new metal song. Like the record label made them put that song on White Pony because they felt like the route they were going, they were taking such a hard left with their sound that they're like, no, you got to do this fucking, this is what's going on right now. Put this song on, which Back to School, it doesn't, I mean, I don't care for it really much. I never did, but that's fucking why. It doesn't mesh with the rest of the albums because they were forced to put that song on there.
Because they're definitely, I mean, they're departing from nu metal in a huge way. I mean, they already were kind of like in their own way and they were trying to, but White Pony, I mean, that's not, I mean, it's got heavy parts, but when I think White Pony, I don't think this is a nu metal record by any means.
No, it's very groovy. It's got a lot of industrial parts. It's a slow record in a lot of ways, even though it does have some heavier songs and some fast-paced songs. It is a real derision from the sound that they were doing and the sound that was associated with nu metal.
But really, all of the OGs were still going in. I mean, Limp Bizkit puts out the infamously stupid title, Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water in the year 2000.
I would argue that this was like the pinnacle of their popularity.
Of their hype,
Like this was the album.
Because at this point, this wasn't them like, this wasn't a blow-up record. It's like they're big and now, damn, they just dropped it while everyone's looking.
They literally had like Ben Stiller in like their music video.
The world
like,
was watching.
Yeah, they were fucking huge.
Which is interesting because I guess the title of the record is a reference to a butthole.
Yeah,
Chocolate Starfish. But what's Hot Dog Flavored Water?
I don't really know, man.
I think he just thought, what if we just call it Chocolate Starfish and Hot Dog Flavored Water? And they were just like,
do you remember the fucking album art on that?
Yeah,
it's so
just
weird.
that gremlin and like a bunch of fucking hot dogs.
Honestly, you know what I think it
multiple
was?
gremlins. Shouts out to West Borland for the album art.
I think what it was like they knew that they were that big, and they were just thinking, "What's the dumbest thing we can name an album? Like we are so big, we don't need to make a record. We don't need to make a record title to sound cool. Like, people are going to look at it anyway. What if we just gave them a fucking record called Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water?
I think you're
Eat it
giving
up,
too much
stupid.
credit to them.
No, I feel like you're onto something. Like, they're like, whatever, just fucking eat it up, stupid.
Yeah,
like, you know,
yeah, eat it up, stupid.
it doesn't
Shovel
matter.
this shit in.
Yeah, just shovel this shit down. It doesn't matter.
And I mean, Limp
You're gonna
Bizkit,
listen to it.
Limp Bizkit, I mean, they already had enough controversies going on, but in 2000 at MTV's Video Music Awards, when they won the award for Best Music Video, fucking Tim Comerford from Rage Against the Machine climbed the tower, the tower right behind them.
Behind the podium.
Yeah, right behind them. They had to get people to pull him down. He was pissed. He thought it was like a political thing, like, oh, you're putting them above us because you want to silence Rage, you know, which maybe there's something to that, but he went to jail for a night, and apparently Fred Durst wasn't that upset about it because he considered them big influences for them.
Like, if you watch the interviews, like, afterwards, like, he looks like hurt by it. Like, he's like, these are like my heroes, and like, they're like, what am I doing to like upset them so much? Like,
I think Fred Durst had a lot of
poser.
times. I think Fred Durst had a lot of times where he felt like he was that guy. I mean, he was even saying in interviews when he was talking about the Woodstock thing, he was like, "Oh, we're that guy. Oh, we won the award, and we pissed off Tim Comerford. Oh, we're that guy again."
This is right around where they make the turn from being loved to hated.
Yeah. But we've also got another big one in the year 2000. We've got Mushroom Head putting out XX, another band that had been around for 8 years before, but this was kind of the record that really blew up with them. And Mushroom Head, I mean, similar to Slipknot, they also did the Masks thing. They kind of had a very similar vibe to Slipknot, at least in terms of their aesthetic look. And as a matter of fact, they actually infamously had beef with Slipknot, and they turned down signing to Roadrunner, which was Slipknot's record label,
which was a huge fucking record label.
Yeah, they were huge, especially at this time too.
I always felt like Mushroom Head was kind of like a diet Slipknot.
Yeah,
well, they were around before Slipknot, though. That's an interesting thing.
Yeah, but Slipknot
sound.
did everything that Mushroom Head was. Slipknot did better.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, true.
The aesthetic, the music, everything was just on a whole nother fucking level.
So let's crank out a couple other ones. I mean, in 2001, we've got Smooth Criminal by
Alien Ant Farm.
Alien Ant Farm. Yeah.
Your boy.
Yeah, which we don't even know what record that's off of. I'm
pretty sure it's off their self-titled.
No, don't even worry about it.
Because I was huge into Alien Ant Farm. Don't even fry me like that. Yeah. Yeah, movies was my jam.
Jesus. Well, we've also
Again, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, like that was the wave,
influential, inadvertently influential.
a couple of the big ones are Oracle by Kitty in 2001.
And heavy hitter.
And a big hitter, only because it's probably just one song, but Drowning Pool puts out Sinner in 2001 with their smash hit single, which is still like a reference point to a lot of people who don't really listen to heavy music, Bodies.
Yeah, dude, I was so pissed.
Hit the flow.
I literally,
Let the bodies hit the flow. Let the bodies hit the
yeah, I remember I was so stoked, like, I was gonna go to Lunatic Luau and see them play, and he died, and they had obviously they had to drop the tour, and that really fucked me up. That really fucked me up as like a 12-year-old kid, man.
Yeah.
I was like, God damn.
Vocalist nicknamed The Stage died of cardiac arrest on tour, actually in Virginia, in our home state, just after the record dropped. Like,
It was
right
cardiac
after.
arrest from heroin, though.
Oh, I didn't
He
catch
OD'd.
that.
He
detail.
OD'd.
He was-
Damn. He was shooting up heroin on the tour bus.
Yeah, I heard he was pretty known for being a wild
Yeah.
boy. In fact, apparently his nickname The Stage came from Dimebag Darrell because he was from Texas and he knew Dimebag. And apparently he was called The Stage because he would just go crazy on stage. He was just like a really wild performer.
That's such a country boy name to give.
My boy,
stage.
Dave, the stage.
Pantera
Williams.
was like that band. Like they were
Oh,
just
yeah.
like the
Oh.
heavy metal Leonard Skinner, I guess.
Oh, Dave. Oh, The Stage. That's
Dave the Stage Williams.
Yes. But another really big one that isn't, we're not just saying ironically, is System of a Down puts
my
out
God.
Toxicity in 2001.
What a fucking album.
This shit put everyone on their fucking head, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That was such a fucking amazing album.
So many heavy
especially at
hitters.
that time, man. That shit was crazy, dude.
And it's crazy, only a year later they put out Steal This Album, which was literally the first time anyone had done anything like that, where they're like, fuck it, man, you steal the record from the store, and the record labels are just like, all right, we'll go with the gimmick, but
Well,
please don't.
apparently, yeah, the record's like, I guess, but
We're still gonna put it for
really don't.
1995.
Yeah.
FYE.
What happened was apparently the album, it was parts of songs from Toxicity that were cut had leaked, and and fans were putting these leaked Toxicity songs on, like, the file sharing programs, shit, LimeWire and whatnot, and just calling it Toxicity.
It was
2.
Napster back
Yeah,
then.
Napster or whatnot, and they were calling it Toxicity 2, and so the band was like, well, you know what, chill out. We're just gonna fucking take some of these songs and finish them, and that's what Steal This
But
Album
we're still
was.
cool because we're going to call it Steal This Album.
Yeah.
It's not us just trying to capitalize on stuff that y'all pretty much stole from us.
It's crazy to think like that's when they blew up. Like 2001, man, the September 11th. Like anyone that looked like them weren't allowed like on
with
airplanes
an,
and
take.
shit.
with an
It's a hot
anti-establishment,
Yeah.
like
I mean, it's crazy.
pitch.
Like that's a crazy time to be like to look like they did.
That's a great
and come
point.
out and do shit, man.
Especially when
and
your albums-
still blow up and be completely accepted by mainstream like culture. Like it's crazy that they were able to do that.
That's how big the movement was.
That's how amazing that album was. Like people look past all their prejudices to fucking jam that shit.
It was huge. I mean, also, just real quick mention, I mean, Slipknot also put out Iowa in 2001, so Slipknot's rolling with it. But let's get, alright, we gotta...
I can't look good. I was a heavy. Like, as soon as I'm
Don't
done
worry.
mentioning
From here on
albums,
out, there's
you know,
nothing to hand.
So we don't have.
Yeah.
To, yeah.
But it really cannot be understated. I mean, the early 2000s, I mean, the late 90s, I mean, this wasn't just music. This wasn't just some music that was huge. I mean, it was in all forms of media.
Yeah, I mean, like we were saying already, TRL. But back then, early '90s, you listened to nu metal and you fucking watched wrestling, WWF and ECW.
They did go hand.
That
in
was
hand.
that was my 10-year-old fucking life, dude. Was WWF, the Attitude Era of WWF. Every aspect of the Attitude Era was fucking nu metal. You know, ECW, literally when they started their show every night, they would have some band, like they'd be like Mudvayne playing like a whole set, and like it would just that would be the start of the wrestling matches. Like Mudvayne would literally be getting their gear off stage and somebody's beating somebody in the head with a barbed wire bat. Like it was fucking crazy.
And it totally checks out because, I mean, they have similar aspects. I mean, you've got this kind of performative world. You've got, I mean, they're wearing, like, masks and all this type of stuff. They have characters almost that they inhabit. I mean, it just makes sense that would go really well
The
with
Undertaker,
wrestling.
one of the most influential and biggest wrestlers of all time, he literally went through like his own nu metal like wave during that time. He came, instead of like being like a goth boy, like dark dude, he came out and on like a Harley and a leather and like a cut off like jean jacket vest and a bandana, literally coming out. His entrance song was "Rollin'" by Limp Bizkit. He just be coming down the Titantron on a fucking Harley to "Rollin'."
That's
like
wild.
it was.
He was rolling.
It literally like nu metal and the Attitude Era WWF, which is basically, if you ask anyone, the golden era of WWF was fucking nu metal through and through. It was crazy.
I missed the WWF wave, but I feel like with those things, like you said, those bands playing and fucking having the things intertwined, like the music with the aspect of like fucking wrestling.
You got
shit,
you got to
it's
figure.
kind of hard to have missed out on it and not caught
Yeah,
one
dude.
or the other.
Stone Cold Steve Austin was literally on stage just beating the shit out of people with Smash and Beer. Like, he was the most nu metal dude ever. Like, just like this pissed off white dude smashing beer and beating the shit out of people. Like, it was crazy. It was an amazing time for pop culture, dude.
Yeah, it was also, so other than wrestling, it was also spreading into a lot of music, movies, and the soundtracks of movies and shit. Like,
yes.
Fucking Dracula 2000 was the first time I ever heard Linkin Park. At the end credits, they played fucking, oh god, was it One Step Closer, and I was like, what? That shit fucked me up.
This is classic literature that's all of a sudden has this new metal ass movie. We've got Power Man 5000. Again, this is a Dracula 2000 soundtrack. You got Power Man 5000, Disturbed, System of a Down, Marilyn Manson, Linkin Park, Static X, Head PE, which more about them later. Taproot, and even the old boys. We got Pantera and Slayer in there. 2001, you've got Jet Li's The One with Drowning Pool, Disturbed, Godsmack, Linkin Park. You've got the Scorpion King. That had a bunch of stuff, but it also had new metal. It also had Nickelback. So it's starting to come in.
Yeah, dude, Scorpion King, I Stand Alone, Godsmack, their big hit was
that movie.
I Stand Alone.
Yeah.
That's Godsmack.
That was their big
jam.
hit.
Wow.
And that was they wrote that for that movie. Like their music video.
That's a
is
karaoke
Scorpion-
song.
yeah.
That's a song.
Yeah.
That's a bop. We finally had it.
Has anyone ever seen someone perform that? Like a karaoke?
I have before.
We have. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think both of us together have done that.
That's the only thing I do on karaoke is butt rock shit, dude.
Oh man, I'd love to see.
Because anyone can squeeze their butt together and oh yeah.
I mean, pretty much every cool mainstream movie. I mean, Resident Evil in 2002.
Yeah, it had My Plague by Slipknot, and then
Oh,
the follow up had Killswitch Engage on it.
Wow.
And another movie that was just intrinsically new metal was Queen of the Damned, because the
What a
soundtrack
heavy
was
hitter.
done. The soundtrack was done by Jonathan Davis, but interestingly enough,
Porn fame.
because he could not do vocals because of contractual agreements with Sony. So instead, he just wrote music that had vocals by other big hitters from nu metal, like Chester Bennington of Linkin Park, Wayne Static of Static X, Jane Gordon of Orgy, David Draymond of Disturbed. We've got Marilyn Manson, but it also has original songs by Dry Cells, Static X, Papa Roach, Tricky, Earshot, Godhead, Disturbed, Deftones. 2003, you got Freddy vs. Jason. You got El Nino, Mushroomhead, Hatebreed, and Sevendust. So you're kind of seeing, again, by 2003, we're going to get this in a minute, but this is when you start kind of another wave is starting to come in the heavy world. We got Killswitch Engage and Hatebreed.
The second wave of new metal, and some of the transition bands that came into.
Yeah, let's not call those second wave of new metal.
Yeah,
Hatebreed.
bands that came, bands that helped kids transition who were getting out of like new metal and getting into something different.
Yeah, Hatebreed definitely was that band for me. Like I remember, I saw
a lot of these bands.
Slipknot
Killswitch
at
Engage,
Lunatic. I went to Lunatic Luau to see Slipknot. They had just put out Subliminal Verses, and Duality was the greatest thing I ever heard in my fucking life.
Well, let's talk about a few more bangers just before we get into the fall, because we can't just. I know we've been rattling off a lot of bands, a lot of albums, but there's a couple more that kind of signaled like it's pretty big right now, but it's starting to kind of fall off. You've got Korn with "Take a Look in the Mirror" in 2003 with the hit single "Y'all Want a Single," which was a single that made a lot of money with a censored version. Yet they were somehow talking shit about the record labels, even though they're completely complicit in the way the record labels worked on this. Again, it's kind of like when System of a Down put out "Seal This Album," where it's kind of like you're against it, but come on, man, like
you're still doing it.
It's words versus actions, but whatever. Limp Bizkit puts out "Results May Vary," also in 2003. But this is a good leeway between what we're about to get to. Evanescence drops "Fallen" in 2003 with the smash hit "Bring Me to Life."
Bring me to life.
And real quick, we got to talk about something.
Wake me up!
Wake me up inside. So we got to talk real quick about, this is something I think maybe people might be interested in. I mean, you all know the song "Bring Me to Life" with "Wake Me Up."
But how much do you know about your boy Paul McCoy?
Yeah, the other guy on there is a guy named Paul McCoy, who's from a Christian band called 12 Stones.
Paul Wake Me Up McCoy.
Yes, dude, yeah, that's easily his most famous thing that he's ever done. But believe it or not, 12 Stones is still alive and well. So the dude from that Evanescence song, I mean, they've had songs in movies and trailers such as The Scorpion King, again, all the way up to Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, Marvel's Elektra. Not too long ago, in 2015, they were playing for service members in Fallujah or something.
Yeah, so don't even act like 12 Stones isn't still pumping out songs.
Everyone just like, who? Talking about Paul.
Still pumping out content.
I'm with you said, Paul, bring me to life, McCoy, not Paul 12 Stones McCoy. I mean, they put out a record in 2017, so they're still popping off. But anyway, so let's move on. So, I mean, in 2003, that's when it's so big, but it's starting to fall off. In 2004, I mean, you've got MySpace blowing up, and there's a new kind of outlet for heavy music. The cultural zeitgeist is shifting. You've got Warped Tour. So emo and metalcore are becoming more popular than nu metal, at least on the underground to mid-ground. Is that a thing? They're becoming more popular than nu metal despite sharing a lot of similar themes. So let's rattle them off. I mean, metalcore, you've got As They Lay Dying, Avenged Sevenfold, Killswitch, Bullet for My Valentine, Trivium, Atreyu, all kind of have, like, all those bands were in the nu metal world. You knew they were listening to nu metal.
A lot of kids that are younger kids or kids that are older that were probably my age were into nu metal in, like, middle school and whatnot, and, like, are kind of trading it for some heavier bands without, gimmicks. Even though I guess there's a lot of these bands still had a gimmick, but a not so... A gimmick that's getting a little more played out of the time.
They have more of that hardcore aesthetic, like a more punk rock hardcore aesthetic that seems more sincere.
It's less about Jinkos and frosted tips, and more
Swoop
about
hair.
More about what was it about?
Hot Topic strip pants.
Yeah.
Camo shorts, cut off camo shorts, black t-shirts.
Yep.
But with the swoop hair, I mean, also emo's getting big. You've got Blink-182 is the obviously the biggest one. Thursday, The Used, Taking Back Sunday,
My Chemical Romance,
and Fall Out Boy, which is, I mean, My Chemical Romance and Fall Out Boy, Blink-182. Those are huge. I mean, those are giant bands in their own right. And a couple shout-outs just because, we love these bands. Under Oath, Converge, Norma Jean, Every Time I Die, also doing their own thing.
Getting kids out of that kind of nu metal thing and more into something a little slightly different.
Yeah, so I mean, if nu metal started to feel dated, you had this whole world that was right there of emotion, of emo music, of heavier music. But again, I mean, not everyone that was in the nu metal got into cool shit.
Not everyone went that route.
Besides going underground, there was another place for the culture of heavy music to shift: butt rock. So, I mean, you've got, like, butt metal bands like Five Finger Death Punch, Breaking Benjamin, Shinedown. These are where all, like, the dads of nu metal, or just I'm not going to say the dads. I don't want to put that kind of heat on dads.
But what we're saying.
It's definitely dads.
Yeah, you know what we're saying.
No
we're
one's 16-year-old, no normal 16-year-old was bumping Five Finger Death Punch.
I don't know, man.
Some of them are. Some
they
of them
were.
are. But yeah, still.
Well, let's not act like nu metal wasn't complicit. I mean, you've got bands that are kind of considered nu metal, like Chevelle and Stained, who went completely butt rock.
Yeah, from the beginning. These bands didn't even hide the butt. Like, they let the butt in from the beginning. Bands like Stained, especially, because they were of that nu metal time period in the mid to late 90s. They were in there, but the butt was there.
Oh yeah, I mean, by this point, I mean that kind of vacuum that nu metal had in the mainstream was being occupied by these butt metal and butt rock bands, and let's not forget other ones. The great butt rock band Nickelback,
the Godfathers.
The Godfathers.
Do you think we should take a second to explain what butt metal is? Like, a lot of people don't know what butt rock is.
Right,
Who's got it?
I mean, I think the best way to describe it is it's a vocal style. To me, the term butt rock comes from, like, literally the only way you can sound like fucking Scott Staff from Creed is if you squeeze your butt and sing, "Oh yeah, when you are well."
And it always sounds like you're taking a shit. Like,
yeah, like you literally have to squeeze your sphincter to sound like that. And that's where it comes from. That's butt rock. Like, all these guys had the same exact vocals.
Yo, shout out to Scott Staff, though, from that one Super Bowl halftime
Dude,
show where your boy just had the
That
best
shit was
energy.
Did you ever hear him sing, like, the opening, like, song for for like the baseball song, like "Take Me Out to the Ball Game"?
No, but I can
he did a
imagine.
cover of
Take me
that.
out to the ball game.
Like,
Wait, literally the "Take Me Out to the Ball Game"?
yeah,
song?
he
Can
did
you even call that a
of
cover? Do you cover that song?
I mean,
like
he-
saying someone did a cover of the national
Well, like
anthem.
he changed like words up and stuff. It's like after this is done, we're listening to that.
Wow.
It is horrible.
True,
Wow.
true. There's an ep right there.
That's an ep right there.
But I mean, you also got 3 Days Grace, 3 Doors Down, Seether, Crossfade. I mean,
Shouts out to Crossfade, probably the greatest butt rock band. They're totally underrated.
yeah.
If you've never heard Crossfade, please go listen to Cold.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, this is
at me.
this is another kind of idea that I've had with, like, in terms of rock and roll. I mean, in the late 80s, you've got it, like, mainstream rock and roll. In the late 80s, you've got kind of glam metal blowing up. Then you've got grunge in the early 90s. And then it's new metal. That was the last kind of, like, cool, interesting thing that came out of it. Because after that, you've got butt rock.
Yeah.
After that, it's as far as the radio goes, you've got butt rock. And, I mean, there are other rock bands that are still doing it, for sure. But I don't really know if there's a movement there. There's no name for the modern, like, what I mean, this is where we're going to be old, but I mean, we put 21 Pilots as a big one.
There's no denying that.
Okay, but let's move on. Let's kind of get on to the legacy. I mean, some of these bands, some of these new metal bands are still on fire. I mean, we're talking about in this day. I mean, Slipknot and Deftones, still huge stadium bands.
Yeah, still dropping albums, still can sell out stadiums.
Still dropping plates.
You know?
Speaking of
Still
which,
dropping bangers.
Speaking of which, I mean, and there's also other bands that are still doing it. I mean, I don't know if they're dropping bangers,
They're
but
still here.
they're still here, and there are dads who are jamming Disturbed, Korn, Limp Bizkit, Marilyn Manson. Linkin Park was still also pretty big before Chester Bennington's tragic suicide in 2017. In fact, there was actually a Family Values tour in 2013.
It still goes on, baby.
Yeah.
Carry the torch. Rattle off some of those bangers on the 2013 Family Values. Some of those heavy hitters.
So this is where
Bangers.
this is where new metal was in 2013. So again, Family Values tour. This is Korn headlining alongside Asking Alexandria, Machine Gun Kelly, and Hollywood Undead. Fuck, Hollywood Undead, dude. Oh my god, listen to that song.
We're never going now.
I just heard these guys for the first time today.
I'm
and
sorry, Mark.
Dude.
Yeah, I couldn't
I
have went
didn't-
without that.
Yo, you
what
know-
a way to cap off the new
you
metal.
know who used
A
to
lot of
love that?
homophobic slurs, dude. A lot of really bad homophobic slurs.
Yeah,
I did not
looked
realize
because
how bad it
Courtney
was.
played me some of the songs he dropped. They just dropped this straight up. I was like, ooh,
And
fuck,
Hollywood
yeah,
Undead?
Courtney's-
Really?
Yeah, a lot. In the song Undead, dude, listen to it. They dropped the hard, like the magnet with an F at least 5 times. And it's,
God damn.
and it's not, well, I don't know, it won't be I don't know, it's really bad.
It ain't cool, though.
Oof. Big oof.
But here's the thing is, I mean, new metal left, I mean, it has a huge legacy. I mean, this is the first time that this type of heaviness was ever big. So it's being, I mean, not only in terms of the Warped Tour stuff, but I mean, there's still tons of bands that are still implementing this. It opened up the door for just super heavy music to be appreciated by a whole new generation of people. I mean, heavy metal or heavy music is just huge right now.
It made it palatable to the masses.
Yes,
You know?
Yeah.
that was the thesis I was getting at. But you still have some big metallic hardcore bands that are using new metal conventions. I mean, we'll start off with some of the better ones. You got Throwdown, you got Hatebreed, but then you got some shit like, you got Amur.
Whoa,
I got a good
whoa,
time with
whoa.
some Amir shit.
Are you gonna
know?
stand up?
I can't hate on
I'll stand up for Amir.
I'm gonna hate on
can't
Amur and
speak for
Attila.
everything they do.
Attila.
Yeah, we
Y'all
can all
I had
hate on
some
Attila.
I had some times with Attila too in the early
First,
days.
let me get a
That
Newport
shit-
now!
That shit does not hold up. Yeah, that shit is.
But totally
fucking
that shit. I mean, new metal is big, still alive in their vibes. I mean,
Attila's
Amur,
kind of
Attila.
gone back straight hard into new metal.
Yeah,
now.
No,
Like, their
no,
new
you're
shit,
right.
You looked
Absolutely.
at anything. It's
their
like,
new
yeah,
shit
they're-
is just straight new
It's
metal.
just new metal. Yeah.
They're not even like metalcore anymore.
Bands like what's that band? Fucking Fever 333. That's a new metal band.
Well, that's the thing is even in kind of the underground. I mean, Straight from the Path totally utilizes kind of like heavy stuff with rap style vocals, and even in the hardcore scene. I mean, look at Turnstile. Look at
Turnstile.
Trapped Under Ice, especially Secrets of the World. That record is very new metal. Totally.
It's definitely got Wigga style to it.
Oh yeah. But I mean, again, I mean, we're kind of wrapping this all up. But the one band that we kind of agreed that's still mainstream, still where Limp Bizkit was in 2000, that's still doing the rap rock thing. I mean, there's going to be some people out there that might be younger that'll list more than that. But I mean, 21 Pilots, that's kind of what we're left with now.
Strong elements of new metal.
Yeah, they diluted out all the grit. All the grit's gone.
Yeah, no. They're on the more
they're like the freebased version of new metal. Like you've cooked out all the impurities and you just have a straight crack rock.
It's like
now.
the easy
Like,
straight rap rock. It's rap rock.
Yeah.
I mean, they wear masks. They even have little breakdowns. I mean, it's still angry white boys doing
Pussy
rap with screaming.
breakdowns.
Yeah, in the notes we put.
They
pussy
even do.
breakdown.
Oh, we didn't even mention the thing. They do, but it's a very new metal-esque thing where they all these new metal bands back in the early 2000s, late 90s did this like weird twitching thing, or they would look weird and like it's the TikTok thing that all these fucking people, all that shit, new metal as fuck.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, they're still doing it. I mean, that really is it. I mean, even on the way here, I was listening to like the local like rock radio station. F99 for locals, and there was some song. It was like some recent shit. It was like rock and roll mixed with like trap beats type stuff, and it was like obviously like a white rapper. And I was just like, damn, there are other bands that are really still doing this. I mean, new metal now it's just not new metal. Now it's just kind of like it all kind of mixed. We're just kind of that's just where music is now.
It's top 40s, baby.
Yeah. All right. So that was a great episode, but before we wrap it up, we want to get into a couple of the worst lyrics we're able to find, because if we haven't kind of gotten on this already, new metal had a lot of really cringy moments, cringy songs, and cringy ass fucking lyrics. So let's kick it off. How about Ketan? You read the first line. This is Twisted Transistor by Korn off of the record See You on the Other Side.
Hey you, devil's little sister. Listening to your twisted transistor. Hold it between your legs.
Oh, God.
Turn it up. Ooh. Turn it up. The wind is coming through. Can't get enough. Because the music do.
Do? What?
And then it's reaching inside you forever preaching. Fuck you too. Your screams will whisper. Hang on you. Twisted transistor.
So what is he talking about?
What the fuck? I don't think he fucking knows, dude.
Yeah. And again, this is what happens. A lot of these bands, they get so big, I think they're just kind of like, they're just phoning it in on some of these lyrics.
Yo, and funny thing about this music video is, like, they have, like, a bunch of rappers play, like, their roles in the...
This was that
it's like
video?
David Banner, Little John, they're playing, like, members of Korn in the video. Jesus. It's actually a funny video.
But, I mean, that was pretty bad, but...
That shit was long as hell. I couldn't sit through it. I had to call it on that one. I was like...
Here's an old school one by a band called Snot, which I originally we were going to talk about earlier, but we'll just save it until now. They weren't big enough. I don't think enough people knew about them, but they had a bad song called My Balls. This is a new metal record. This is actually like between Korn and Limp Bizkit era where this song came out. But the song is called My Balls, and here's some lyrics. It goes, I know you're all the same, and you're so fucking lame, and we're not going to play those games, ho. Where do I begin? You know you just can't win. Only when you have my balls on your chin. My balls, your chin, my balls. I want to put them on your chin, your chin. I see you envious because you can't play with us. We go on, and your bitch, she goes nuts. She's a fucking hoe, and we know how it goes.
All right.
All right. And here's another one. I wouldn't say this is like... Because I think this song in particular, they were trying to joke a certain mentality.
Yeah, I think it was a little satirical, but nevertheless...
We got
Cigaro by System of a Down off of the album Mesmerize.
Oof.
My cock is much bigger than yours. My cock can walk right through the door. With a feeling so pure, it's got you screaming back for more. My shit stinks much better than yours. My shit stinks right down to the floor. With a feeling so pure, it's got you coming back for more. Can you see that I love my cock? Can't you see that I love my cock?
This is fantastic. True poetry. Next up, we got Eat You Alive by Limp Bizkit off of Results May Vary. This is a 2003 record.
I'm going to go ahead and take this one because this one's got a special place in my heart.
It's all you, baby.
All right. I'd eat you alive. Hey, you misses too good to look my way. That's cool. You don't want nothing at all to do with me, but I want you, and ain't nothing wrong with wanting you. Because I'm a man, and I think... What the hell? I want you. You got that straight. I'm sorry. So sorry. Damn, you're so hot.
Hey, Mrs. Too Good to Look My Way, and that's cool. Jesus. And that's a bit.
I still want you, and I'm a man.
We haven't talked about that this much, but I mean, this is the late '90s. I mean, with even where rap was and rock and roll, just all rock and roll. I mean, all these genres, sexism was alive and well. I mean, rampant. But
I will say with rap, it was more just like. Yeah, I like big booty bitches, but like this shit's like got like a rapey tone to it. Like it's like
you haven't.
Yeah,
Let's
like
right.
new metal's got like a weird like rapey tone.
If you want to talk about that, this is what we're going to end it on. We mentioned this band one at a time. We found this song and we were just floored by how fucking bad this is. There's a new metal band called Head PE. They had a record called Only in America, and this song is called American Beauty. And real quick, I want y'all to look at this fucking vocalist.
Yeah. Take a second to go look up Head PE's vocalist, and then you immediately get
what is Jared Gomes?
Yeah.
Gomes.
Dude, look at that the title for that picture. Jared from Head PE, aka My Idol.
Jesus.
Somebody
Christ.
idolized this fucking dork.
Dude, this song is easily the worst lyrics I saw in this whole new metal run. And I've been listening to new metal since I was like fucking 12.
Yeah, this is really
It's like the
bad.
worst lyrics
It's
I've
so
ever
bad
heard.
we're gonna go into the entirety of the song.
Yeah, and real quick, if you want to know where Head PE is, real quick, and this is going to be an ep later on. Is if you look at related artists on like Spotify, iTunes, you're gonna find Juggalo music, which will be an ep one day. But this was like new metal had that Juggalo element in it, and Head PE I think might have epitomized that better than any other band. So
They fully embraced the Juggalo.
So we're gonna get into this entire song, and what do we popcorn style this shit?
Pass it. Y'all want ABC it? We'll just pass it around. I really would hate to even go.
Yeah,
into
I
some of these
don't want to
lyrics.
read
I feel
this, but
dirty.
I think we all need to share it.
Not a good dirty. Yeah, let's
if
share
one
it.
of us got to do it, then we're all going to do it. You know?
So we'll go stanza by stanza. You see a break, we switch. So I'll kick
You
it
kick
off.
it off, bro.
then Mark, then Kate's on. How about that?
All right.
All right. So this is American Beauty by Head PE. Back door in the club. I'm not looking for love. I'm looking for a big butt to squeeze these nuts. I'm not trying to think too much. I'm just trying to get fucked and drink too much.
Little bitch, don't be so serious. Don't get mad because your girl want to be with us. In the club, show love, have a drink on us. In quotes. Hey, yo, dog, I think this girl wants to get fucked.
All right. This is when y'all need to probably take a drink as well. It's getting real bad.
Hey, Daddy, can I talk to you?
This is a girl speaking, by the way.
Do you want me to do a girl voice?
Yeah. In this song, it's a girl voice.
Hey, Daddy, can I talk to you? Daddy, I'm only 17, but I know just what to do. At the clubs, fool pay me big money for me. But, Daddy, you can get this lap dance here for free. I need love, Daddy. Daddy, give it to me. It's my birthday.
So if she's 17 and it's her birthday, that means she was just 16 yesterday.
So she's birthday 17.
Jesus Christ. This
Oof.
So let's move on. Good thing I have a really short one right here. I'll read just these few parts. Then let me see your ID, because the last time I was fooled, the bitch was just 16. She was just 16 yesterday,
Yeah,
motherfucker.
she just told you it's her 17th birthday.
Bro, it's still C17 now.
Big ass, big tits. She looked at least 23. By the way, this is not a rap song. It's not a Juggalo song yet. This is full on new metal right now.
Yeah,
If
that's
you,
crazy, right?
You look up the song after this. I'm going straight to hell. If fucking you's wrong, I don't want to be right.
That's the chorus.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, this is you, baby.
Okay. Hey, baby girl, I know just what to do. I'm gonna slap your little ass till it turns black and blue. Now put on these heels and arch your back. I'm gonna crack your ass in half with my 8-inch staff.
Oh, dude, Kate, you get all the worst
I get
lines.
I get all the girl parts.
Yeah, here we go.
In my parents' bedroom? Yeah, you know how we do it. On my mama's bed? Yeah, go ahead and give me head. While my daddy's working? I got my own work to do. On a kitchen table?
Damn.
Yeah, boy.
They're
It's
on
all
the.
you, Payne.
So this is like a 20-something-year-old guy going to.
This dude's probably 30.
Yeah, dude, but because this record came out in 2005 or something. This is after.
Ugh.
Yeah, they started early, but by now this dude's like in his late 20s, 30s, fucking a 17-year-old girl on my mama's bed.
On the kitchen table?
Gee, oh, here we go. And this-
Anyway, get into it, Payne. Don't try and avoid it.
Oh, jeez. I popped the cherry of the high school senior head cheerleader. Baby girl's hungry, so daddy gotta feed her. Inches, pull it out. Then she blew me.
Good.
A teenage pussy is a thing of beauty. Jesus, this is new metal, yo. This is you got to take this.
I don't
new metal.
know if new metal gets the rap for this song particularly, but
It's new metal.
I don't know if this is just this is definitely head P, I guess.
All right.
All right. Then it's the chorus again. I'm going straight to hell, and if fucking you's wrong, I don't want to be right. And we come in with, I could fuck your life away. Let me fuck your life away. I don't want to be right. Fuck you. Jailbait, 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 jailbait. So, you know what the jailbait, bitch.
Oh, no, it's about to
you
get
know
in
what's
there.
going on.
It's about. Oh, this
Yeah,
is
it
you
just
again,
keeps getting
K-Town.
worse.
I
K-Town,
get all the girl parts, guys.
I'm the one
like
that got a
lines
teenage.
I like that lines up better that way. At least it's consistent.
Yes.
It's consistent at least.
All right, this is another.
She was like, damn, what the fuck you do to me? I was like, shut the fuck up. This ain't nothing new to me. She was like, you're such a dick, I hate you. I was like, bitch, shut up before I rape you.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
I like fucking 90 powers. I watch you go in. I feel like Shaquille O'Neal, and I'm fucking the Olsen twins.
What?
Yeah, what is it?
It don't take much more than a nice butt. The slut stares at me. The slut rides with me. In the back of the Suburban, leave the drive-in to me.
This one really got me. These last few lines, this is the dumbest shit I've ever heard, because someone's probably said this before and been dead ass.
God damn. I feel like I got the short end of the stick.
Yeah, I got to
Here
take
you
a
go, man.
shower after this.
Yeah,
actually.
dude.
Damn, I forgot to check the slut's ID. Those big ass titties make it hard to see.
What?
If fucking you's wrong, I don't want to be right.
Those big ass titties make it hard to see the ID.
Yeah,
I
what?
didn't even check.
No
or
one
try
what-
to check.
What is she, like the fucking, like the police? She's got an ID just on her chest?
Yeah, real quick.
It's in your pocket or
This
some
is
shit, purse.
this is a joke for locals only. Shouts out to Death Singer.
We all know what it is. All right. So we had to take you down there, guys, but that's a wrap.
That's pretty much it, right?
That's pretty much it. I
That's
had
all
to,
she wrote, baby.
you know, I mean, with our first episode last week, I was very ready to get out of it, and with this, I'm still pretty ready to get out of it. But you know what? Did not hurt nearly as bad as researching furries.
So
I'll
hold
say
on.
that.
So let's keep with the theme of the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Are these good times killing
Are
us,
these
or
good
did
times
these
killing?
good times contribute to our killing us?
I started it last time.
Yeah.
We'll
We'll go that way. You don't want? You want to do it the same way?
We'll go.
Okay.
In K-Town.
Okay. Are these good times killing us, or did these good times kill us?
So this segment is when we decided was this a good thing or a bad thing for our society.
Yeah. I'm going to say no from my personal experience.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, I'm going to take a hard. I'm going to say no. These good. Well.
Oh.
Yeah, not that Head P song. Fuck that. Song.
Oh, you say no? The good times are not killing us. The good times
Yeah,
are.
no.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of these bands that we mentioned are bands that I grew up on, bands that still influenced the way I listen to music and put me on to new music. And even though I got off the bandwagon probably with a bunch of people during the fall or even before the fall, some of those things, like I said before, if a lot of those things that you really loved, there's always going to be a place for them in your heart. You'll always love them if you truly did love them. So yeah, I don't think these good times killed us.
There's definitely a lot of cringe to this. I mean, anything you go back and look at 20 years ago of your childhood, you're going to find cringe in it. And, you know, Limp Bizkit and everything, it's a joke, you know, but there's a lot of good things this contributed to. This led to a lot of better genres of music, a lot of better bands. This opened a lot of people up to, like, on a mainstream level to, like, heavier, like, more underground music, and kind of got a lot of people into that wave. And, you know, they had a lot of positive things like inclusivity. You know, there was a lot of people of color, you know, in these bands, and a predominantly white genre of music. You know, it definitely opened up to a lot of people. I mean, the shit like the Head PE shit was awful, but I think as a whole, definitely not killing us.
Yeah,
definitely
I mean,
not killing us.
I agree. I mean, you look anywhere, you're going to find some bad apples, and I even don't have that much hate against Limp Bizkit. I mean,
They're funny to joke on.
Yeah, I mean, that's easy for me to say because I never had a Limp Bizkit mode, so I don't feel that shame as much. But
me and Mark are real dirty.
Yeah, I feel it.
you fucking
feel
piece
it
of
at
shit.
least a little bit.
No, but new metal was great. I mean, new metal. I mean, even this past week, I've had a great time listening to these old bands, kind of catching up. Personally, as someone who wasn't as much into it, this is my first time really discovering Korn. I have a huge appreciation for Korn, at least those first 3-4 records.
Yeah, definitely.
Great bangers. I know you said, K-Town, this really opened up the floodgates for a new generation of people that were into really heavy music. Yeah, the good times are not killing us. The good times are just good times.
Yep, these are definitely good times, just being good times.
These are great times. So,
they're the good old times now.
So, thank you all so much for listening to Good Times at Killing Us podcast. Do we have any shout outs to give before we get out of here?
Big shout out to Gary and Kyle for helping us pull this together. And,
so another Kyle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We have a lot of
Kyle
Kyles
V,
in the world.
You know, for sitting with us on some of this and watching some of these new metal videos with us and helping us take some notes and outline some of this episode.
Definitely helped shape it. Definitely helped give us a new perspective. And yeah, guys, this has been great. Look forward to seeing you all next time. It's your boy David.
K-Town.
Mark.
And the good times are fucking killing us.
We're dead.